Good morning, everybody. This is Jehoiadak Maccabeus Everyday Survival. Hope everybody's doing well out there, staying well fed. It's snowing here today. I've been working on my building quite a bit the last couple weeks. I'll show you around just a little bit. We got a lot of the mess cleaned out of here. Let me see here if I can do this without swapping the phone around. This side of the building was clear full, and I moved everything out and got my metal on, 2 rows of metal up, so I can start setting up a shop here. I can come back and do the rest of that later. Right now, I'm working on cleaning out this side of it. My water tanks, wood cook stove. It goes on up to my workbench. And I got to get all that moved over to this other side so I can get my metal on that side and set this stuff up in a more permanent fixture. Clean it up. And anyway, I had to set it up the way it is when I started building this building. I put the tanks in a year before I got the insulation, so it is what it is. But anyway, I'm going to do a video today on cottage industries and street markets. Been thinking about this for a couple years, and I'm really surprised it's not talked about more on here. And this is one of the hubs of community. And I'm not talking about community as far as your tribe or your mag. I'm talking about community where you live or where you may be existing when a economic collapse happens or the shit hits the fan, zombies, nukes, whatever your bag is. But cottage industries and street markets are one of the big bases of the economies in a lot of smaller countries, a lot poorer countries. And people recycle things, they reuse things, they fix things, and sell it straight out their door or in little markets along the street. Here in America, we have flea markets, so it's kind of the same concept. We have farmers markets for vegetables and stuff like that. Tool repair, that probably be a big thing that somebody could do for to make an income, because there's still going to be some kind of bills to pay even if the grid goes down. Everybody thinks they're going to get a free ride out of all this responsibility, and I don't see it working that way. Because let's say you live in a house and you're renting it, and the guy that owns that house, he's probably still going to want something in trade for his rent, because that was his investment before things changed. How you handle it from there depends on how you got integrity. Anyway, like tools, tool repair, shovels, rakes, hammers, axes, all this stuff's going to have to be fixed or new ones made, and everything doesn't have to go back to the blacksmith level to have something that works. Blacksmithing is a very good trade. I dabble in it. I've had a couple of forges. Like I said, I am no expert. These are two real good books. The Modern Blacksmith and the Recycling, Use, and Repair of Tools. That's by Alexander G. Weigers. Both of them are. 2 very good books. Should be in a survivalist library. Another good book that kind of goes in line with that is Gunsmithing. I've had this for a long time. I got this in probably 93, 94 time frame. 1994. I made some notes in here, so I probably got it about 93. And it has tempering for your metals and how to make springs, all that kind of good stuff in here. That kind of falls in line with your blacksmithing, tool repair. This is a cutout from a 100-pound propane cylinder. You see it's kind of thick. It's probably, so it's a little bit thicker than an eighth. But anyway, it's good hard steel if you're familiar with propane cylinders. Anyway, I built a tiny stove that's up in my loft, and this was part of what I cut out of the bottom for where my grate goes, where the wood sits. And I'm going to make that into a spade, like you dig holes with. I think it'll hold up pretty well. It's heavier than your typical modern spade, but you're not going to have to worry about that thing folding up. A lot of this cheap stuff that they're bringing in now, they'll fold right up. I don't know that the tempering isn't right or something. It's just cheap metal. Hold on, I got to get some coffee. This is going to be kind of a lengthy video, so bear with me. Another thing that you'll probably see is motor repair, like electric motors. People in other countries, poorer countries, they rewind these motors. So that's a trade that somebody could get into. That's a blower off of a wood stove. Trapping, another real good book. I got this when I was probably 14 to 16 years old. That's what I learned to trap out of mostly. And tan hides. There's another trade, leather. I posted a picture on my community here a few weeks ago of a German soldier in World War I that was tanning rat hides for the leather to patch uniforms with. This is a pretty good one, solar energy. This gets into more like the solarizing your home. Both of these books are. I got these back in the 90s. These were actually going to get thrown away, and I snagged them up. But like for building your solar windows type thing to heat your home with, and heating water. I've got 2 solar water heaters. They're big. They're probably 5.5 foot wide, 6 foot tall, with tempered glass and the copper coils inside of it that go on the roof. I've had them for probably 15 years now. This is the building I was saving them for, finally getting around to building it. When I get them done, I'll definitely do a video on that. Another good book that, this is just overall information. The Forge by Ragnar Benson. It's by James Ballou. Long-term survival in the coming dark ages, preparing to live after society crumbles. It's got a lot of good information in it with blacksmithing and repairing things. And another pretty decent one is Ragnar's Encyclopedia, Practical Knowledge and Proven Techniques. Some of it's still applicable today. He goes into, I think this is the one where he talks about making new IDs and stuff like that. And a lot of that's not applicable nowadays. Everything's changed so much. Another thing is these fans off of automobiles for cooling the radiators. These actually double as a generator. The output's not real high, but they do produce power. Put one on a pole and stick it up in the air and let some wind start blowing through it, and it'll start producing DC power for charging a battery or just running lights or whatever. They also good for cooling off, and I've used them. I used to have a Northwoods wood stove, had the water heater, the water jacket in it for heating water and all that. And I had times that the blower went out on it, and I used a couple of them fans to push air through the system to heat the whole house with. They move a whole lot of air. I've got several of them around here. The doubles too, they work real good. Most of mine are from probably 2005 back into the 90s. They're older ones. I don't know that much about newer vehicles, what they're about or anything as far as the fans. Excuse me. There was something else. This is just a can full of gears for building stuff. All this stuff's what's, if you're preparing to survive in a grid down or economic collapse or any of that's where this is all going to be applicable for you. One of my plans, if it happens in my lifetime, would be to I'm gonna have a small, kind of like a trading post with nails and screws and just all kinds of stuff like that. I've got buckets and buckets of stuff around here, repairing and building things for people to make life easier. I've got a meat grinder that I mounted a 12-volt motor on off of an old winch. The winch was probably from like the 50s or 60s, and it's got a lot of torque, the motor does. And I mounted it and adapted it to a one of the old hand crank meat grinders, and I can grind up a cow in no time, or deer. And it's just things like that. I'm sure I forget shit. I always do. One thing I've mentioned in comments, I'm not full of shit whenever I make comments on people's channels and stuff. This is one of my oxygen tanks, in case I ever need oxygen. It is full. I've had this for about 10 years. I don't think oxygen goes bad. I've got a couple of more. They're stored in a building next door. And I've got piles and piles of stuff. Hopefully I'll get this building done one day.